Okay, good morning. Mazel tov on our upcoming Siyum of Zvachim, the house of Rav Nosson tonight. Very excited. Looking forward to greeting everybody and some very good food. Sorry that Rami Weinman won't be there, but it's good for us. Now we'll be able to eat a lot more. Anyway, we have the Mishnah says this Mishnah, Daf Beis Amid Aleph in Menachos, mirrors the Mishnah in Daf Beis in Zvachim, that all Zvachim are kosher, with the exception of Chatas and Pesach. Our Mishnah said all Menachos are kosher with the exception of Minchas Chayta and Minchas Kenois. And we're going to spend the day for the source for those two places. What's a Minchas Chayta? What exactly is a Minchas Chayta, right? So in Vayikra Hey, there's three possible averis. That again, we do this all the time. A person's over in Shavuos Eidis, a person's over in Shavuos Pitui, a person's over on Tumas Mikdash Kadashav. Then he has to bring a chatas. The chatas is unique because it's ola v'yoreid. It's ola depending upon your financial status, and yoreid between your lack of financial status, right? So memela, the poorest of the poor brings a mincha. That mincha is dry. It does not have any oil in it. That's called the minchas of a chayta. Now, pashtus, you would think the reason why shaloi lishma doesn't count because it's a chatas, but in fact it's not a chatas. Guys, he's a chayta, but the mincha is not a chatas. So we have to find the source why the minchas of a chayta, shaloi lishma, doesn't work. In addition, we have the parsha of Saita. In Saita, she has to bring a mincha of barley. She did the maisa of an animal. She gets the michael of an animal. It's also dry. It's also without oil in it. And it also, if it's brought shaloi lishma, doesn't count. And what's the source for that? So that's the first part of the daf. What's the source for those halachas? So we begin on daf Dalid Amid Aleph. We begin on daf Dalid Amid Aleph, about 7-8 lines down. Chutz mi minchas chayta u minchas kenois. Minchas chayta, minchas kenois, shaloi lishma would be not only not oila l'bayil mishim chova, but they would be puzzle completely. What does that mean? You couldn't burn the shirayim, you couldn't eat the shirayim, whatever you can not burn. You can't burn the kaimitz. You can't burn the kaimitz, and you can't go ahead and eat the shirayim. Meaning it's gone. It's puzzle. Bishleim minchas chayta chatus kayir rachmana. Bishleim minchas chayta. Even though it's not a korban chatas, the Torah calls it a chatas. Lo yosim alei shemen v'lo yiten alei levoina. Why? Ki chatas he. So since the Torah calls it a chatas, just as a chatas shaloi lishma is possible, who adin the minchas chayta shaloi lishma is possible. Ela minchas kenois minalan. Where do you know the mincha of the saita that what shaloi lishma is possible? The Tani Tana Kamei Rav Nachman, a reciter of Bais is in front of Nachman. Minchas kenois moisra nedava. Now we're familiar with zvachim that a person would want to go ahead and bring a carbon. They'd set aside funds. Let's say so. There he sets aside, let's say, $100. The carbon only cost him $50. He has $50 extra dollars. What does he do with that? He goes and he spends that money. He goes when the mizbeach is slow, they would bring carbon oilers to go. That's called kitzam mizbeach, and that's one of the 6 shayfers or the 13 shayfers. 6 of them were these minchas kanoi, this oilers kites mizbeach. So if you have any extra funds, let's say the site set aside her money, you have any extra funds, that extra funds will go to an oiler. So the chayra. Minchas kenois moisen nedava amalei shapik ha'amit. That you're saying very good that it goes to what that it goes to the moisen nedava. You're saying very good that it goes to moisen nedava because maskeres oven ksivba. It says by the saita maskeres oven a mention of her iniquity. Uksiv bechatos, and it says by chatos ksiv v'oisa nasan lechem lasei says oven aida. And again you have the word oven. So, guys, we learn out from chatas. Machatas, where it says oven, moisu nedava, and the extra money that you set aside goes to nedava for kites mizbeach. Af minchas kenois, where it says oven, moisu nedava. Now, let's take that gzeir shava and continue. Right? Let's not stop in moisu nedava. Ukechatas. Machatas pesula shaloi lishma. Af minchas kenois pesula shaloi lishma. So look, so we have our source right now. If you'd end the Gemara right now, close the Gemara, you'd have sources for the source, the Torah karya chatos, the Torah calls it a chatos, and you'd have the Gezer Shava oven from minchas, from saita to chatos. Chatos we know is shloi lishma is no good. And it says oven, hu adin minchas kenois, where it says oven is no good. Now, if you're going to make this Gezer Shava, says the Gemara, I can extend it. Elamayat, if that's the case, Asham Yei Pasal Shaloi Lishma. If you bring an Asham Shaloi Lishma, it should also be Pasal. The Gomar Oven Michatos, because we learn Oven Michatos. Now it says by the Asham guys, it says V'nefesh Kisechta V'Asa Achas Mikol Mitzvah Hashem Shaloi Sesena V'Layoda V'Ashem V'Nasa Avoinoi. So it says what by Asham V'Nasa Avoinoi. So now we want to learn like Gezer Shava Avoinoi. Just like Oven by Chatas Shaloi Lishma is no good, where it says by Asham Avoinoi also shouldn't be good. So you're learning out Oven to Minchas Kenois. Let's learn Oven Avoinoi to what? To Asham. And for the Gemara, you can't do that. Why? Done in Oven may Oven, when they're the same words, Al Darshan them, Oven. Vein done in Avoina may Oven. But I won't learn the different word Avoinoi may Oven. So Asham, where it says Avoinoi, I won't learn. By Minchas Kenois, where it says Oven, I'll learn from Chatas Oven. But by Asham, where it says Avoinoi, I won't learn from Oven of Chatas. Now, the Gemara always asks this. We have this so many times in Shas. I'll count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 times in Shas. Do you have this 14 times in Shas? Says the Gemara, when you mashma Gezer Shava has to be the words exact. So Avoinoi is not the same word as Avoin. But 1 second, it's not true. What does it say? V'atan Rabbi Yishmael v'shava koyin and ba koyin. It's thing here, guys. We're speaking about the tumas tzaras of a house. That when he comes back the second time, has the same halach as the first time. And it says v'shava koyin and ba koyin. Shav and boy are not the same words. Yet we learn in Gezer Shava like whatever took place in the first time, smearing, taking the bricks out, and do the second time as well. Zui Shiva, Zui Bia. So therefore, just because this is Avoinoi, it's not a reason to say that an Asham Shaloi Lishma should be good because you're not learning Gezer Shava. V'oid, Ligmar Avoinoi, may Oven the Shmias Koil. Let's learn Avoinoi, may Oven the Shmias Kol. Now, Shmias Kol is one of the Averis, it's the Shvuas Eidos, guys. It's Shvuas Eidos. And in that Parsha, Shvuas Eidos, right? It says the word Avoinoi. If he doesn't say his Eidis, V'nasa Avoinoi. So guys, let's regroup. Let's see where we got so far. You just taught me that the reason why a Minchas Kenois is Shaloi Lishma no good is because we have a Gezer Shava Avoin Techatos. For the Gemara, if that's going to learn next Shava, learn this Gezer Shava. What's this Gezer Shava? By Ashim it says Avoinoi, by Chatas it says Avoin, just like Chatas Shaloi Lishma is no good, on Ashim Shaloi Lishma is no good. And for the Gemara, Avoinoi, it's not exact. For the Gemara, it doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't have to be exact. Why? Because we see by V'shava Koyin and Boy Koyin. In addition, I can make another Gezer Shava. It says by Chatas of Shmias of Shuas Eidis, it says Avoinoi, and that's a Chatas. So we have a Chatas where it says Avoinoi. We know a Chatas Shaloi Lishma is no good, and it says Avoinoi. So too by Asham it says Avoinoi, and now I have an exact Gezer Shava that an Asham Shaloi Lishma shouldn't be good. Okay, so therefore we have a problem here in Drusha land. We have a problem here. It doesn't seem to go ahead and stimming so good. Says the Gemara, okay. Ela ki goma Gezer Shava lemoisin edava. You're right. This Gezer Shava from Saita to Chatos is not le'inyan Shaloi Lishma. It's only le'inyan moisin edava. So now we're back at square one. How do you know a Minchas Kenois Shaloi Lishma is puzzle? If you can't have a source for Chatos, you don't have a sourse. Who the Gemiri? We learn only Misandava. V'chitem, you'll ask, Ein Gezer Shava L'merza. He'll say, Ein Gezer L'merza. Go L'rachmana Gabe Chatos. It says by the chatos, and this is what we had in Zvachim, v'shochat oisa lechatos, and you should shecht it lechatos, and this was the limud in Zvachim, oisa lishma keshera, shaloi lishma pesula. Aval kol koshim, bein lishman, bein shaloi lishman, kesherim, akasha. Okay, so now guys, let's go. Let's outside. Outside. I have a Gezerah Shava. What's the Gezerah Shava? Ovain from Chatos. What does it say by Chatos? It says if you have any extra money that you set aside and you have extra money, that extra money goes to Kates Mizbeach to buy oilis when the Mizbeach is slow. A Saita sets aside her money to bring her Maskeres oven, to bring a Minchas Kenois. Any extra money will go for a Nadafa. We'll go like Chatos. Right then and there with ending the Gezerah Shava. Fred the Gemara, 1 second. How do? You pick and choose, you cut and paste. This one I'll take and this one I won't take. So let's extend it. Just like Chatas Shaloi Lishma is no good, Huadin Minchas Avain, Minchas Kenois is no good. Says the Gemara, you can't say that. I have a special din by Shaloi Lishma. I have a Gezerah Shava, and the Gezerah is very good. But now I have a pasuk that says you don't darshan the other part of the Gezerah Shava. What's that pasuk? V'shochet oisol lechatos. If you shech it oisol lechatos lishma, it's good. Mashma, if you don't shech lishma lechatos, it's no good. And that din is limited to chatos. We won't extend it to any other carbon. Okay? So now you got a problem. You have a problem. Now, right now, what would you say if I woke you up? You'd say, I have a source for minchas chayta, chatas kayarach mana. I don't have a source for saita, right? Right now, we had two cases, guys. The Menachos of a chayta, the cheapest guy, and the cheapest, the ani, the poorest guy, and saita. I tried saita oven, I failed. L'chayra, I have a good source of minchas chayta, chatas kayarach mana, right? Which makes the next piece of Gemara difficult. But what does it say? It says the Gemara, Ella meaning what? Ella, whatever you said before, forget about. Ella, minchas chayta u minchas kenois the psulin shaloi l'shma minalan. But I thought you had a source of minchas chayta. You're telling me, fellas, two things. Minchas chayta or minchas kenois. Did you have a source for minchas what? Did you have a source for minchas chayta? Chatas kayarach mana. Guys, you know what pshat is? The shachar I saw lechatas. This I saw is taking everything out of the ballpark. You may call the minchas chayta chatas, but das is nicht kein chatas. You can call it all you want, but it's not a chatas. The shachar I saw lechatas. Call them, guys. Again, when chatas is synonymous with krisos. You have a chi of karis. You have what? An aveira. And that aveira, you'd bring a chatas. Okay, so Tumas Mikdash Kadashav is karis, it's a kasha, my hezba. But pasha pshat, the minchas chayta is not inherently a mincha. It's the mincha of a person who did an aveira, but not a chatas. So Menela, when I say v'shachar I saw lechatas, only one that is mamish a chatas, not one that's called a chatas kayarach mana. Mamish, it has to be a b'mitzias a chatas. That, Memela, very good. I don't have a source for anything now. I don't have a source for shaita because oven's no good. And I don't have a source for minchas chayta, right? Because I saw, once you brought in I saw, guys, I brought in I saw to make sure that the Gezerah Shava, you're taking out the Shaloi Lishma aspect. So once you did that, you killed two birds with one stone. You messed up Saita, and you also messed up Minchas Chayta, because Minchas Chayta it's Karya Chatas, but it's not a Chatas. Memela, we're back to the beginning of Shir. The Mishnah says there's two things, Shaloi Lishma, that are not good. Minchas Chayta, Minchas Kanais. Where do you know it from? That's what we're holding right now. So if you didn't understand the best thing till now is a good time to start. Says the Gemara. Okay. Time am I, Mishum Dechsiv Ba. It said now. Here's two psukim. This is what it says. It says, Ella. Why is it Pasal Shaloi Lishma by Minchas Chayta? Right? With Chatas Time am I. What's the reason? Mishum Dechsiv Ba He. It says by the Chatas Nasi. V'samach Yadai Al Rosh HaSayir. He'll put his hands on his goat. V'shochet oisai b'makam asher yishchad es ha'oila l'fnei Hashem. Chatas hu. We're going to change the heat to hu. We're going to be litfish in this chasidus. Chatas hu. It's a chatas. Okay. Now hachanami by the mincha of the chayta and kenois ksiv hu or he. Shai b'minchas chayta it says v'hevia el hakayin chatas he. Minchas kenois nema minchas kenois he. And now we're going to learn out he. We're going to learn out just like chatas is shaloi l'shma by nasi, where it says who or he would be interchangeable. So too by the minchas kenois and the mincha of the chayta, where it says who or he, it's going to be what? It's going to be puzzle. So we have a new limit now. Says the Gemara. Ella minchas chayta minchas kenois b'sulin shaloi l'shma minalan chatas time minalan chatas time amayim mishum dechsiv bohi hachanami haksiv bohu he. For the Gemara, Asham Nami Haksibaha he. By Asham also it says he. By Asham it says the word he. So the Chayri you should learn out. Just like Shaloi Lishma by Minchas Chayta and Minchas Kanois, Shaloi Lishma is no good. Let's learn Asham also is no good. So therefore Asham is also no good. And for the Gemara, that pasuk says v'hikteroi sum hakoyin hamizbecha isha Hashem Asham hu. Guys, listen to the pasuk. V'hikteroi sum hakoyin hamizbecha. The koyin should burn. He should burn the imurim. Asham Hashem Asham hu. Good. So now it says Asham hu. So you can tell me the hu by nasi is a lima to the he by saita and the he by minchas chayta. It says who by Asham. So if that's your limud, Asham also shaloi lishma should not be good. I mean, no, it is good. It's loy oil shechayta, but it's good. But if your limud for chayta and kenoyis is the who, we have the same limud l'chayra by what? By Asham. And the answer is, guys, listen to the pasuk. The pasuk says when you're burning it, v'hikterei sum hakoyin hamizbecha isha Hashem Asham hu. You're burning the imurim. Tell us. At which point in time is the korban shaloi lishma puzzle? It's got to be in the dam. Once you did the dam correctly, you're good. We learned something in Zvachim, right? We remember something from Zvachim. So in Mela, if you didn't bring the emurim at all, the korban would be good. Certainly, if you burn it shaloi lishma, the korban's good. So the who by Asham is going on Haktaras Emurim. Memela, there can't be a svara to say Shaloi Lishma should passel. If the Emurim don't passel at all, certainly a Machshav is not going to passel. As I for the Gemara. Says the Gemara. Hahu, that who by Asham is La'acha Haktaras Emurim. Who? Dichsiv Kedetanya. Aval Asham Leinema by who? El La'acha Haktaras Emurim. Who Atzmai Shloik Turu Emurav Kasha. Him itself, you're not marked an Emur, it's Kasha, right? So L'chayra, obviously, Shaloi Lishma also would be kasha. So again, guys, this is the limud. The limud is the who and the he from the who from chatas of a nasi to the he by chatas by minchas chayta and the he by of kenois. You asking a kasha asham? It also says who asham. That's being achak tarasei murim. Okay, very good so far. It says now. What do you do with the hu by Asham? El hu lamali l'chrev huna amarav. Asham shenitek l'reiyah. We said the guys are Asham is that you go ahead, you can't use them for what you wanted to, and you're going to go ahead what and send them to pasture to get a mum, and as they're going to get a mum, you'll be pointed them. Okay, just to reiterate something that we're familiar with, we know that something that has kedushas haguf, you can't be poida. Kedushas damim, yes. Kedushas haguf, not. So if an animal that's a korban gets a mum, that's a korban, you can't be poida. Once it gets a mum and it can't be born in the mizbeach, it could be poida. So we have a rule of thumb. I'm just in the Gemara in Tamura. Anytime the chatas chames chatas shemesais die, the corollary by asham you're going to go ahead and send to pasture. So that's nitik l'reiyah. You're giving it over to the shepherd. V'zog in Yiddish, a pastacha. A shepherd is a pastacha. A shepherd is a pastacha. Harold, yes? Okay, Harold. Kenny's not here, so we're at a loss with our Yiddish. Kenny's not available. Okay. Baruch's available, yeah. Baruch. Okay, Geshmak, guys. So what happens if you bring that? So this asham, let's say you set aside an asham, and you're going to bring it, and then it gets lost, and you bring another one, and now you find the original. So it's asham shekipra balecha. You got its kapara ready. What do you do with that one? You don't kill it like a chatos. You don't let it die like a chatos. You let it get a mum, and then you point it. What happens if you bring it? What if you bring it then? What is it? So that's what we're going to see right now. Asham shenite kluriya v'shachtu stam kasha l'shomayla kasha stam kasha l'shomayla nitek in loy nitek loy. That's dafka if you gave it over to the shepherd, then it's an oila. What happens if you didn't go over to the shepherd and you shechted it? Who by vasiyeh. Guys, if you didn't give it over to the shepherd, it's an asham. Asham who? You know what it means, guys? It's in its state of asham until you give it over to the shepherd. Until you give it over to the shepherd, it's in its state of what? Of asham kite. So therefore, that's what who teaches me. Who, it's an asham. So therefore, at the end of the sugya, the reason why minchas chayta and minchas kenois is shaloi l'shem apostle is because of comparison to the chatas of a nasi, where it says who. That's it. Rav Nachman, Rav, excuse me, Rav Nachman, Rav. Started drinking too early. Minchas ha'omer shekamsa shaloi l'shma psula. Okay, what's the minchas ha'omer? Guys, the minchas ha'omer. On Tesayin Nisan, right? Tesayin Nisan, not on a Sunday. Yomi Machros does not mean a Sunday. The Tzedaikim mean Yomi Machros, right? But that Shavuos always falls out on a Sunday. No. Yomi Machros, the day after Tesvav, in the Beis HaMikdash, they bring barley. They bring a carbon of barley. That carbon of barley would matter the Chadash of the Medina. That carbon of barley would matter the Chadash, the winter grain, which were not, that's called Chadash. When you go ahead and bring the Omer, after this point in time, it's called Yashan. 49 days later, they'd bring the Shtei Lechem with the Kivtzei Atzeres. That Shtei Lechem would matter the Chadash in the Beis HaMikdash. Okay? One, that's bought from wheat. The Omer is bought from barley. So, Moisa Omer, let's say you have leftover Omer, Shekamsa Shaloi Lishma, you have a Minchas Omer, right? And you did Kemitza Shaloi Lishma. According to our Mishnah, it should be good. Meaning, it's a good carbon, but it doesn't count for the tzibur. That's what but says Rav. It's puzzle. It's no good. Psula, it's no good. You know why? Hailu bos lahatir. Since it's coming to go ahead and matter the chadash, and you're going to have to bring another one, v'layitiru, it doesn't work. In other words, there's a purpose behind the minchas omer. The purpose is to matter the chadash. Its purpose is to make the chadash mutter. It's not making the chadash mutter. You have to bring another one. Guys, you're going to have to bring another one, correct? If you have to bring another one, it's not doing its job, it's puzzle. That's Rav's Chiddush. It's puzzle. Okay? Rav extends his halacha that when it doesn't do its job, it's puzzle. Where does he extend it to? Ba'asham Nazir, Amid Beis, Ba'asham Mitzayra. He extends it to Asham Nazir and Asham Mitzayra. Okay, let's go a little bit here, guys. What's the Asham of a Nazir? The Asham of Nazir is a Nazir that became Tameh. A regular Nazir brings a Chatas and oil and a Shlamim. The one that's Tameh has to bring what? An Asham. What does that Asham do? It allows him to renew his Naziris to start counting. Guys, he counts a Naziris of 60 days. He counts 55 days. You know what? And he gets Tameh Tumas Mace. Fafalin. It's gone. He has to start again. He can't start again until he brings his Asham. What's the Asham Mitzayra? That's the one, guys, where he's going to bring with the shemen, with the behinis. He's going to have it put on his fingers, right? So what does the Asham Nazir do? It comes to machshir him to start counting again. What does the Asham Mitzayra do? It's machshir him to go ahead and eat kachim. This is his mechusik Purim. This is his kapara. So if that carbon is not good, just like the Omer comes to do a job and doesn't do the job, who adin the Asham of a Nazir Mitzayra that comes to Machshir and is not Machshir also would be Pasul Shaloi Lishma. That's Rav's Chiddush. Since these three karbonis don't do their job, therefore you're going to have to bring another one, and therefore they're Pasul Shaloi Lishma. Hayel Ubola Hachshir, says the Gemara, since the Asham of the Nazir and the Asham Mitzayra can't be Machshir, the Nazir to start counting again the nazir to be, the mitzayra to be able to eat kachim, v'lo hichshiru. Okay, Tanan. Now guys, we're gonna ask him Mishnah. Ask from our Mishnah and Rav. Why did the Mishnah say all menachos are good with two exceptions? Chatas, the minchas chayta and minchas kanois. According to Rav, there should be a longer list. There should be a longer list, right? You should have the Omer in there. You should have the Omer. Omer also. You tell me the Omer is not good. And add the Omer. It says Tanan. Kol menachos shenikmatzu shaloi lishman ksheiros el shaloi oila lebayil m'shem chayva. They don't count. Chutz minchas chayta minchas kanois. V'im isa. And if you're going to tell me, like Rav, that the minchas Omer also is no good, listening nami chutz minchas Omer. Good guys, you had a kasha. Rav says, Rav is saying something that the Mishnah doesn't say. The Mishnah says only two. Rav's adding a third. Why did the Mishnah say it? Rav is an Amoira. And for the Gemara, ki katana ba yachid. Our Mishnah is speaking about the mincha that comes for a yachid, not for its right. And ba tziba like katani. Mincha slayim is a tziba. Enachnami. Our Mishnah was not comprehensive. Our Mishnah was discussing only the mincha of a yachid, not the mincha of a tzibur. Mincha is a tzibur to get carbon. A second teretz, ki tani ba beglal atzma, ba beglal zeba like tani. Our Mishnah is saying menachos that come by themselves, but the omer is accompanied by animals. It's accompanied by a kemesh. There's a sheep that accompanies it. So another teretz to the why we excluded, according to Rav, the minchas omer, because we weren't discussing a mincha that comes accompanied by an animal. And mincha we're discussing is that comes independently. And thirdly, ki katani hanach shen kavul lemizman, ha kavul lemizman like katani. The minchas omer, guys, is born in Tesai Nisan. We're discussing menachos that are not born anytime. Can be born anytime. So we have three terutzim to answer why minchas omer is not included. Rav says minchas omer shelo lishma is no good. Rav says minchas omer shelo lishma is no good. Good. Our Mishnah says the only two things that are no good a lot are the omer, are the chayta and the saita. Why not minchas omer? One, we're only discussing the carbon of yachid, not the carbon of tzibur. Two, we're discussing karbanis that come mincha that comes independently without an accompanying carbon. The omer is accompanied by a kevesh. And three, we're only discussing menachos that you can bring any time. You're not kaveh zman. Mashenki the minchas omer, which is kaveh zman tesai nisan, is not under discussion. But in achinami, the halacha is it would be possible. As like Amamar, going back over the brayso, Amamar. In other words, they're coming to do a job, they're coming to machsha, the nazir to count, the mitzayra to get his kapara, right? So they're coming to machsha means to be able to eat kachim. Now we're going to ask guys the same kasha, but not from menachos. We're going to ask them zvachim. Guys, look at me. Rav said three dinim. One was a mincha dikadin, and two was a zvachim dikadin. So we asked him the kasha from the first Mishnah in Menachos on the Menachos dikadin. We're now going to ask from the first Mishnah on in zvachim on the zvachim dikadin. Right? We're going to ask on that. Right? And in other words, guys, outside, if I think anyone would know this, if you give it a thought, the first Mishnah in zvachim, there are two kabbanis that don't count, that don't work. The chatas and the pesach. Does it say anything about an asham of a mitzayra or an asham of a nazir? No. Same kasha. Why not? According to your Rav, they don't count. So we're asking this, it's the exact same kasha in Zvachim. So Omamar, going back over again. Since they come to be machshir and they're not machshir. Tanan. Kol Zvachim, the first mission in Zvachim, Sheshachim Shloilish Shmon Ksherin, El Shloil Balam Shem Chayva, Chutz Min Pesach V'Chatos, then Isa, and if it's true about Asham Mitzayra and Asham Nazir, listen to Nami Chutz Mi Asham Nazir and Asham Mitzayra. Okay, the boy lahachshir v'lo yachshiru, and for the Gemara, kiven the ikka Asham Gezelos for Asham Eilos, the kapara asu leipsikalei. In other words, Asham Gezelos constantly mechaper, Asham Eilos, the person's malbe heshin, hegdish constantly mechaper. If you would bring them shaloi l'shma, right, it would count. The yoilu, but it'd be good carbon. So einachinami, guys, we could have listed Asham Mitzayra and Asham Asham Nazir. But you can't, since in the realm of Ashir, there are other ones that do count, then we could list them. Again, what's the teretz? Only two, Pesach and Chatos. Why not Asham Mitzayra, Asham Nazir? And for the Gemara, because there are in the realm of Asham, there are two that would count. What are those? The ones that would be for kapara. That's Asham Gezelis and Asham Migilis. Asham Gezelis and Asham Migilis. Now comes out a very interesting din, guys. Guys, outside. You're telling me the reason why Asham Mitzayra and Asham Nazir don't work is because they're coming for a purpose and not fulfilling that purpose. What's the purpose? For the Nazir to have his count, for him to eat kachim. Asham, Migzelis, and Milas also come for a purpose, to Mechaper. Yet it counts. So you see, something that comes to Machshir doesn't count. Something that comes from a Kapara does count. Where do you get the chilik from? Where do you get the chilik from? That's Gemara going to segue into that. Says the Gemara. Maishna Asham Nazir Asham Mitzayra. What's the difference? Asham Nazir Asham Mitzayra, the boy lahachshel le'achshiru, Hani Nami, Mi'ilois and Gezelois, boy lekapara of lekipru. Okay? Because if my topic statement is correct, then the Gemara has a bomb kasha. What's my topic statement? Some carbon that comes to do its job and doesn't do its job, doesn't count. So the oimid didn't do its job, the asham mitzayri didn't do its job, the asham nazir didn't do its job. Guess what? The asham, I got to bring another asham for a gezelis, another asham for a milas. It also didn't do its job. It also didn't do its job. So there's a big difference. Yeah, there's a big difference. L'chayra, what's the difference? Amr of Yirmiyah, matzino shechilik hakosav b'mechapim b'machshirin. There is a difference. We find that the Torah makes a chilik between something that comes for a kapara and something that comes for hachshara. To go ahead. Mechapim ispahu the asil achamisa, machshirin lespahu the asil achamisa. We find out what? That machshirin, mechapim can be brought after misa, machshirin cannot be brought after misa. Ditnan. A woman, a yoledes, she's bringing two birds. She's poor, she's bringing two birds. One is an oila, one is a chatas. Now, what's unique about this, guys? You would think a chatas is the kapara. Yes? You think the chatas is the kapara, and the oila is the machshir. It's the opposite. Look at Rashi, guys. Rashi, lo yaviu yorshim chatasa. Again, as I always do some strange thing, I'm doing Rashi before the Gemara. I'm doing Rashi. Before we see the Gemara, I'm doing the Rashi. Ha-yorshim can't bring a chatas. The zuachas chamesh chatas mesos. If she dies before the chatas is brought, they can't bring it. So this is one of the five chatas that dies is chatas shemesa ba'alecha. The chatas yoledes machshahu. Guys, chatas yoledes is not machaper. Rabbi Avi, a yoledes didn't do an avera. You got this is exactly the point I was making yesterday, right? She didn't do an avera. She brings the chatas. Good, she cursed the husband, like we spoke that word, right? But she didn't do an avera. So now the chatas yoledes machshahu kidarmina bekrisos perik damashchita. It allows to eat kachim. When a chatas comes to be machshir, the oil comes to be machaper. Kidichsiv b'yoledes echad lechatas ve'echad leoila. Alma. Okay, so we have Rashi tells us a very good chiddush, guys. Rashi tells us the chatas is the machshir by the yoledes, and the oila is the machaper. So nimsa guys like this. Let's do it outside. If you would not bring the chatas afterwards, right? So you see the kapara that is not brought after misa. If you bring the oila after her death, you would see the mechaper is. The chatas is the machshir. The oila is the mechaper. You want to know the difference between kapara and machshir that you're asking like asham me'ilas and asham gezelos. Also, it didn't do its job. There's a difference. When the job is to be machshir, then it's no good. When the job is to be mechaper, then it is good. And we learn it out from the yoledes, because the chatas, which is machshir, doesn't come. The oila, which is mechaper, you do bring. Let's see it inside. So we find a chilik between machshir and mechaper. Ditnan. Ha'isha she'evia chatasa. A woman gives birth, she brings a chatas. Aloy aleinu umesa, and she dies. So she brought a chatas, and after she brought a chatas, she died. Yaviu yarshim oilasa. The yarshin can bring an oila. So what do you see, guys? They can bring the mechaper. The oil is the mechaper, right? You see, you can bring the mechaper. Oilasa, if she brought her oila, umesa, and she dies, lo yavia yarshim chatasa. They don't bring her chatas. Why? Because she's chatas shemesa ba'aleha, and you can't bring it. But Mameli, what are you seeing? That the mechaper is not brought. The machsher, the mechaper is brought. The machsher is not brought. So there's Uriah, guys. That's Uriah. Again, that's Uriah. One more time. Let's do it outside. You have Rav's din. We're redefining my words. What are my words? If a carbon is bought for a job and doesn't do its job, it's no good. We're amending my words. If it's brought to be machsher and it's not machsher, it's no good. If it's brought to be mechaper and it's not mechaper, it's still good. Where do you know that from? The Yoledes. The Yoledes, if you bring the mechaper, which is what? Which is the chatas, you could bring, right? Which is the mechaper with the chatas is the machsher. If you bring the chatas, which is the machsher, you could bring the oila, which is the mechaper. So you see that mechaper is the after misa. If you bring the oila, which is the mechaper, you cannot bring the chatas, which is machshir. So you see that machshir is more severe in this way than mechaper. And that's why Asham Gezelis and Asham Eilis, which is a mechaper, you would bring, whereas Asham Nazir and Asham Mitzayra, which is a machshir, you won't bring. Maskav Rabbi Yehuda Breid V'Shim Mimhazi Machshirin Nami Mileslu Milesbehu the Asilach Misa Machshirin. You mean there's never a case where you bring it after Misa? But Tanan. Okay, this is the Mishnah in Meila. Hamafish Ma'is L'Nazirusai. A person has to bring kabbanis to Naziris. Now, what is the kabbanis he's bringing? He's going to bring again. He's not tamei. He's going to bring a chatos, an asham, and an oila. He's not tamei. Asham again. Always remember, asham nazir is tuma. You're bringing three kabbanis: the shlamim, the chatos, and an oila. So you set aside $300 for these three kabbanis, $100 a carbon. Loinenin, you can't have enough from them. Right? Midrabanan, v'loy moilin. Why? V'loy meila? Why not? Why is it no din of meila, guys? This is kodesh, and the answer is I could spend the $300 on the shlamim. Since I didn't go ahead and tell you what the money's used for, I just separated $300. We can use it all for a shlamim. What do we know about shlamim? It's kachem kalam. What do we know about kachem kalam? Mom and bailam hu. I'm Rabbi Seglili. Mom and bailam hu. Memela geschmack fellas. There's no din of meila. Good. Next. Which is kachem kalam. Mace. V'hayu loy mois stumim. The person who was a nazir dies, and he has money that was stumim, meaning you didn't go ahead and designate the 300. Yiplu l'nedava. It goes to nedava. In other words, you can use all the $300 for kabbanis l'kaytzim mizbeach. Mifurashin, however, if he said 100 of this is for a chatas, 100 is for an oila, and 100 is for a shlamim, mifurashim, meaning he designated it. What do you do with the 100 for the chatas? The mechatas yelech yama melach. You put it in the yama melach. This is a din of chatas shemesa ba'alecha. Take that money, throw it out. Like nenin v'lay moilin. There's no din of meila by chatas shemesa ba'alecha, right? There's no din because the purpose of it is leibud. It's not going for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not kachim gavaya. Guys, you moil when something goes to Hashem. This is not going to Hashem. It's going to the Dead Sea. So therefore, there's no din of meila. The mei oila. Yavi ben oila, umoilim behen, and this is din mila. The mei shlamim, Yavi ben shlamim, v'nechalim v'yamechad. Okay, the shlamim, you bring a shlamim. Now, usually a shlamim is eaten for 2 days and a night, but the shlamim of a nazir, guys, is eaten for a day and a night. So nechalim v'yamechad, the money of the shlamim is going to get the din of a nazir. Ve'intunim lechem, it doesn't need lechem. the Nazir's carbon has two types of wafers that are brought with it. You're not going to bring it, right? Now, question: for oila shlamim, the Nazir, the machshirininu. The oilam and the shlamim, they're both coming to machshim, right? They machshid that what he should be tahar. Okay, not tar, that he should go back into the fold, take a haircut, be metamal mesim. So these kabbanis, the shlamim and the oila are being machshin inu. So what do you see, fellas? Guys, what was Rav's premise? Since it doesn't do its job to be machsher, again, the oimer to be machsher the chadash, the asham nazir, the asham mitzayra, the Asham Nazir to be mashkim to start his Naziris again, the Nazir to go ahead and the Mitzayra to start eating Kachim again. And we said that since you're not going to bring these after Misa, Memela what? Therefore, Loyola and Pasul. Mashenking Kapara is right. Kapara is brought after Misa, Memela what? It's going to be Kasha, but Loyola Bailam. Here we're breaking down Rav. I have two cases. If the guy died, the Nazir, I have two animals. One an oila, one a shlamim, and yet you're bringing them. But the oila shlamim are there for the purpose of being mashrir, the key word being mashrir and nazir. So you see, hachshara is possibly after misa. This is destroying Rav's premise that the difference between kapara and hachshera was bringing it after misa. Look, I'm bringing this after Misa. So kasha on your whole premise. Einachinami. Maybe the Asham of a Mitzayir, Asham of a Nazir, and the Oimer, it should in fact be good. Just it should be a good carbon, but not count. Rav Papa, Hachikam Rav Yirmiyah, Matzinu Hechsha Kavua. When Rav said you don't find Hechsha bikavua, right? The bol achamisa. Okay. You don't find a hechsha, a kavur, the bal achamisa, but the nazir hechsha she'ena kavurhu. Okay, now, hechsha means that this is the only thing that can be machsher. This is the only thing that can be machsher. It's kavur that this asham of the nazir will allow him to start counting. This asham of the mitzayra will allow him to come back in. This oimer will be machsher. This oimer will be machsher that you're able to go ahead and eat the chadash. The oila and the shlomim of a nazir are not the only machsher. The chatas also can be machsher. The amamar kilach al echad mishlashtan. If you take a haircut on any one of the three. Now, if you remember from the Zirus, you're supposed to burn the hair underneath the shlomim, underneath the pot of a shlomim. What happens if you so you take a haircut after the shlamim? What happens if you take a haircut after the oila? So eichet good. After the chatas is eichet good. So the hechshera is not limited to what? To oilo shlamim. Masha'en came by asham mitzayra, it's limited. By asham nazir, it's limited, and by the oimer, it's limited. So therefore, Rav has held serve. Your question to Rav is hachshara. You see, after Misa, it is good, and you, Rav, is saying that's the difference between hachshara and kapara. No, this is hachshara that is limited to kavua, this particular carbon, nazir, asham tzayra, and minchas oimer. Masha'en came. You're asking me a kasha from the oil shlamim of a nazir. There, the hechsher is not limited because the chatas also you take a haircut on. Guys, you good? So far, Rav has held serve until now. Mesivei. Ashim mitzayra shenischit shaloi lishma. Again, one more time. Ashim mitzayra shenischit shaloi lishma. Ay shaloi nitein midamay agabe b'hainais. Oh, you didn't put the blood on his b'hainais, on his big toe, right ear, and right finger, a big thumb. It goes up. It's not possible. Between the sachim, and it'll need libations. So, guys, is this a good carbon? It's going up in the Mizbeach, yeah? What did Rav say? Rav said psula, guys. Rav said, look at the first line of the Amid Beis. Psulim. I got a brisa saying openly that it's kasha. Tiyufta de Rav. Look at Taisvis. Tiyufta. Havimatzi l'meim Rav Tanu Pola Kidama Bekama Duchte. In many places, we say Rav is a Tana and he argues, but we didn't say it over here. I don't know why. Yaitzimid Varenu, right? Guys, just a quick summary. Why is the minchas of an Omer Chayter, right? Why should I oil the Baal Moshe Chayva? Because it says by the Chatas Venasi, it says who? We know the Chatas is Shaloi Lishma is no good. It says by the Asham, by the Minchas Omer, it says he. So we can learn just like Chatas of Venasi is Shaloi Lishma is no good. Who I did the Minchas Omer is no good. Minchas Chayta. What about the Nazir, the Saita? Who I did the Saita? It says Lashon who, right? What about it says who by Asham? That's Lachtaras Imurim, and that therefore Shlosh is not going to be Ma'akiv because it itself is not Ma'akiv. Rav said it then that the Omer and the Shlosh Shma is no good. Asham Mitzayra, Asham Nazir is no good, right? It's puzzle. We're shlocking up Rav and we're saying no, it is good. Okay, we see everyone tonight, Bez Hashem, 8 o'clock, right? Are we having hors d'oeuvres?